What is up everyone? I'm Durdam. I'm currently a PhD student in my third year. I'm doing my PhD from Germany, and today I'll be talking about the most important skills that you would need to land a PhD position. This would be a very useful video for all the bachelor students, master students, and also the students who are passed out from their masters and currently in some job or doing some project from any research institute, but you want a PhD position somewhere in Europe. So I would mostly talk about all the detailed requirements that you would need, the skills, the most important skills that you need to develop in order to land a PhD position. And consider subscribing to the channel, guys. That would really make my day. Without further ado, let's begin. So to start with this topic, I'll begin with your whole education, starting from bachelor's, master's, and that would finally lead you to a PhD position. So many students have asked me this question before, that how much your bachelor's marks matter for your PhD position, and honestly, it would not impact your PhD position a lot. So what the recruiters would see is the last eligible exam, that is your master's exam. So I'll start with your master's education, how you can start preparing for the PhD position for abroad, especially in Europe and Germany. So guys, during your master's, it could be your MSc or could be your MTech, could be anything. So it's generally of 2 years. Your master's degree would be, the duration would be of 2 years. And during this 2 years, you have to take certain steps in order to land a PhD position without any drop. So what I mean by drop is that you don't have any gap after your master's position, which is the most preferable condition for every student, I would say. That you finish your master's and then directly you go to, you got a PhD position and then you start working. So in order to do this, guys, it's a simple process, but you have to follow certain steps. So you have to think about your CV. Your CV is basically your academic profile that should convey a story about your research profile, how you built it. So now what I'll do, I'll explain the whole process with examples from my own experience, as well as from students who have successfully landed PhD positions in Germany, in Italy, France, and all over Europe. Now, all the examples I'll talk about, it's mostly focused on European countries. The first thing you have to do is that during your master's, you have to do certain internships or research projects apart from your master thesis. So the master thesis will come at the end of your MSc or MTech. That would be for 6 months project. That is most likely going to be your last semester, your whole last semester. Now you would think that during your masters, if you're doing a full-time masters, not a corresponding masters, you are whole day attending your classes, your lectures, and then you have no time to do any extra projects or internships. But guys, there is a way. For example, you don't need to go anywhere to like outside your university or college. What you can do, you can approach your professors, your teachers, whoever are teaching in throughout your coursework, or if there is some other professor who is not teaching you but is working in a field that you are interested to work on. So if you just go talk to them that I'm very interested to work on so and so topic, and since you are also in the same field, if there are some projects, I would be happy to work with you or work on those projects and gain some research experience. Now guys, how this would help you out is that, for example, in your first semester, let's say you build up this interest from your second semester. That's still a lot of time. So in your second semester, you joined a professor, you approached, and you started working under him. So when you work, basically, whenever you have some free period, so you have like free classes, there is no class or you come 1 or 2 hours before your classes start, or you stay 1 or 2 hours after your classes end, your college finishes. You can work on that time, during that time. So you have to obviously manage your time, your schedule, but this is the best way that you can do some side projects, internships. There are also a lot of projects that you can apply through international projects. So during your masters, you can go to these websites called DAAD. So I would put the link in the description somewhere. So there they provide a lot of projects, 6 months internship projects. This you can do. You also have the opportunity to get some fellowship out of it. And these, during the whole COVID situation, there are lots of projects in which you can work remotely. Of course, if you are from an experimental background, if you have to work with chemicals and stuff, in that case, of course, you have to be there in the lab, physically present. So in that case, the best option for you to gain some extra research experience is that to actually work in a lab in your university or institute. You would definitely find some professor who is willing to give you some work. Even if you're not working in a project, just go and work in a lab. Like do basic lab work that would improve your hand skills and like basic lab work skills. That's so important. You can, if there are some postdoc working in the lab, go work with them, interact with them, like take interest in what they're doing, and by this way you would learn a lot and you would gain research experience, which is very valuable. Conferences, workshops, seminar, it's so important. Now there are two ways you participate in these workshops, seminars or conferences. You either take active participation or passive participation. Now passive participation is you have to do nothing basically, you are just a listener. So in a conference you are listening, so you just participated. So by that way you can just mention it in your CV in the conference and seminar section that you took part in this so and so conference and so on. But the preferred way is to take active participation. By active participation I mean you present a poster or you try to give a talk. That is so impactful in your CV and your whole PhD application process. It is super impactful. And generally you would see that most of these successful candidates, whoever land the position, would have some of these active participations in one of the conferences and so on. Now it does not has to be a really high level conference or an international conference. It has to be just a conference. Like a national level conference would be also fine, but try to take part in this type of workshops, seminars or conferences actively. Try to present a poster or submit an abstract or try to give a talk. But the whole thing, all the 3 active participation methods I told you, this cannot happen if you are just attending lectures during your masters. You have to do some research work in order to be able to present something in the conferences. So you see, this is a whole ladder process. You have to take one step to get to the next step. So it's a step-by-step process, guys. The other option would be if you're not doing any extracurricular these projects, you would be participating in these conferences passively. You would be just listening and maybe interacting with the speakers and asking them questions. That's very preferable. It means that you are showing interest. But really, if you take, for example, if you participate in 10 workshops and as a listener, you're just going there and listening to the talks, taking participations in some practical workshop if it's happening, that's all well and good. But there should be at least 1 or 2 conferences where you did active participation. You presented a poster or something. So these skills are very important, because while a poster, you are presenting something, your poster presentation skill. So basically you are able to present a whole project. That's a very important skill, guys, that the supervisors and the professors look while hiring the PhD students. Now next is your CGPA. how much CGPA do you need? When you take part in a German university, I'll explain this part with respect to Germany, because Germany in all over Europe compared to all over European countries, Germany has possibly the most strict and stringent rules. So if you qualify for a position in Germany, that means you can safely assume that you would be also qualified in other European countries. So the CGPA for masters, it's preferable if you have a more than 8 CGPA out of 10. So I'll put the conversion formula on the screen somewhere, how the German universities convert your Indian CGPA out of 10 to a German grade system. In German grade system, it's a bit different. The lower number you have, the better it is. So most of the top reputed German universities would be very happy if you have a German converted CGPA of less than 2. So for example, according to the formula that I showed on the screen, if you have a CGPA of 8 or above, you are safe basically. I mean, like there would not be any university in which you are not selected because you have not a sufficient CGPA. So if you have anything above 8, it would probably convert into German system below 2. And you can put in your CGPA in the formula and just convert it and see if your CGPA is good or not. But even if your CGPA is like less than 8 or something, do not worry. There are plenty of universities, like top universities, where the CGPA is not actually a problem. Now comes your master's thesis, possibly the most important part of your master project that would impact your PhD application, and the project that you would do in your master's thesis. This is the project that you would be also presenting during your PhD interview applications. Imagine that you're a student who has been working on a project from his second semester as a side project under a professor's supervision, and you continue working on that same project for your master thesis also. So now you have worked almost more than a year on that project, which gives you a very good chance to get a publication out of it, a paper. It could be a co-author, it could be a first author, it does not matter. If you have a paper, that already improves your chances to land a PhD position significantly. Now the authorship, you should not really think about the authorship too much. I mean, if you have done the work, you would obviously get a first authorship. If it's a collaborative work, then you would get possibly a co-authorship. Now, there is one point I would like to explain here, that there are two types of publication, guys. There is a research original publication and a review article. So a research publication, like original paper, is in that you would have to put a lot of work into it, which might not come out within this 1.5 year of your whole projects, with including your internship and also your master thesis. Now what you could do is that during this whole project, you are continuously working on a particular topic. You have gained a lot of experience on the topic, and you might try to write a review article on that. So you can talk to your supervisor and you can write a review article. So in review article, you are basically reviewing a method, like a field, a problem, you are reviewing it. Like what are the recent updates on that topic? What are the possible solutions? What are the possible problems? How can that be solved? So this whole thing would make up a review article. So that is also a research paper, guys. That would also be considered as a publication, which would indeed help you very much in your PhD applications. But also, if you are a candidate who does not have any publication, it's also fine. Do not worry about it. If you have done research work, you would be able to write it in your cover letter and motivation letter, and that would show the recruiter, the supervisor, the professor that yes, you have a research experience. They also understand that getting a publication involves a lot of steps, guys. It takes a lot of time to get a publication. You have to communicate to the journals. They will respond. There is so much complications, documentation. then in order to publish it, you also need some funding, and that depends whether your supervisor under whom you have done the project, they have the funding. If they do not have the funding, then you would have to write for a waive off for the publication. So that's a whole different process, and the supervisors, the professors who are hiring you, they know these complications. So even if you don't have a publication, but you're writing the content, the research work that you did in your motivation letter, they would know. Like when you read a motivation letter, when the professors read the motivation letter, they would know how much experience you have, what skills you have, and so on. So the candidates who do not have any publication, do not worry. If you have done a research work, if you have done internships, if you have participated active in conferences and workshops, you would land a PhD position. Presentation skills. So this is basically that within a given amount of time, how you put forward the most important points of the topic without digressing too much. This is a very important skill, because during your interview process, you would have to give a 10 or 20 minute presentation, 10 to 15 minutes generally, about your research experience. And if you are not very comfortable talking fluently, like in English specifically, then that would be a problem, guys, huge problem. So during a presentation, you have to be confident. You have to follow a certain layout. Possibly I would make another video about the presentation, how to make a presentation and so on, like a scientific presentation. The presentation skills you would improve most possibly during your master thesis, because in that thesis, in the lab in which you will be working in, you would have to give presentations, regular updates or weekly presentations to the supervisor about your project update. What is the status of the project? What items do you need to complete the project? What is the timeline, and so on? So you try to practice the presentation, and before your interview stages, try to rehearse your presentation by watching into a mirror. Set a time limit. So try to finish within the time limit. 10 to 15 minutes is the general time, and try to cover the whole topic, the most important points specifically. English language certificate exam, like this IELTS, TOEFL, or there is also this GRE exam. But this GRE exam is very beneficial if you are looking to go into USA. But I think for European countries, if you have either IELTS or TOEFL, that is already sufficient. But guys, then again, there are several candidates I have seen who do not have any of these exams, like they don't have IELTS or TOEFL, but they still land a PhD position. Why? Because during the interview stage, their communication skills were very fluent and very adequate. If you are someone that you feel that you are not very confident in English, and your writing skills are not very good, you are not able to frame scientific sentences, then the best is to prepare like 1 or 2 months for these IELTS exam or TOEFL exam and give this exam, guys. This would be just helping you and boosting your whole profile, and you would benefit, like your English speaking skills will improve, your vocabulary will improve, and this would impact while you are writing your motivation or cover letter. The final part is writing emails, a very crucial part, because when you write the email, the first email, this is basically the first point of contact between you and the professor or the lab in which you are targeting. So guys, the email structure has to be very short, concise. I'll show you some of the emails. So for example, this is the email that I got from my professor once I was accepted. So he informed me basically that I am hired for the position that I applied for. It was a PhD position. That he's basically saying that we are pleased to inform that we would like to employ you for the advertised position, so and so. And then further, there are some departmental and administrative processes that you have to go on. I would like to clarify with you whether you would like to commence the position on 1st of February or 1st of March. So he's asking you a question. So he's asking me a question that when I would like to start the position, because I have to manage the whole visa process. So he has given me two choices, 1st of February or 1st of March, when to start, according to the personal preferences for visa application and traveling. The HR department estimated that they could provide you with a contract by the beginning of January. Besides an employment contract, you would also need proof of housing, your visa application to the best of my knowledge. The student welcome center of the so-and-so university would help you out. So now how do I reply to this? Dear Dr. Hoffman, so never write respected. Do not do this. Respected sir, respected madam, do not do this. Use the dear, their title, doctor, and the last name, the surname, Dr. Hoffman. So then what did I reply? Dear Dr. Hoffman, thank you sincerely for offering me this opportunity to work on the position so and so. I am pleased to inform you that I feel this position is an excellent fit for me and I am happy to accept the offer. You have to officially on the email, you have to write an email that you are accepting this offer. Regarding the commencement, I think 1st of March 2020. So I started, that was my joining date of my PhD. This will be preferable for me and it will give me like enough time to handle any unforeseen visa and travel related issues. I'll start the visa application process as soon as possible from my side. Thank you for this offer. I look forward to working with you and your team in the near future. Best regards. Your name, your current position, if any. Like I was still working as a SRF, Senior Research Fellow in NIPGR Institute. So that's how you reply, guys. It's very short, concise. Spacing is very important. Give some spacing, some paragraphs. When I gave my interview, so when the whole final interview process was over, so just finishing after the interview, I wrote an email. So do not be afraid to communicate with them. It shows that you are interested and you are willing to work, and it basically they feel that you are very eager to work, and generally people prefer such candidates. So just after my interview, what I wrote is that, Dear Dr. Hoffman, thank you so much for the time for taking the time to interview me today for this position. Getting to know other members of the group was a pleasant experience, and I hope I convinced you that I will fit in well as a member of the team and quickly be able to contribute to the institute. I realized that on my part in the literature discussion session I could have done better, but I tried to grasp as much concepts as I could from the articles in the given time frame. Again, I very much appreciate you taking so much time to talk with me, and I look forward for the decision. Thank you. And that's it. Best regards to them. Thus, now again, you don't have to write your whole designation and so on every email, because I have had multiple communications before this email. That's why I did not write the whole, like the current position and so on. For the first few emails, you write it, it's good. But if you are communicating with the same person multiple times, then you don't need to write your whole details and signatures every time. Now guys, if you see the structure of the email, it's very simple, straightforward. During my interview, I had to explain some papers sent by them. Explained 2 research papers during my interview, from which they also asked me questions, and yeah, I thought that I could have done a bit better, so that also I wrote. So be honest, guys. If you are completely honest, they would appreciate it, and you have to connect with them. Basically, you have to understand, because they are also people. Yeah, they are looking for a good candidate who is able to do the research work that is going on and contribute to the group. So you have to present yourself in that way. So writing emails is I showed you some of the emails. So we have covered the following topics: how you should prepare your portfolio, your whole academic profile starting from your master's, because that's where the most important story starts for your PhD application. Do internships, do side projects, research projects, approach your professors from your university. They will help you out with this. Attend conferences, workshops, seminars, whenever and however possible. Try to participate in at least 1 or 2 workshops or seminars actively. That is, try to present some poster, give a talk, and so on. Maintain a good CGPA. Anything like most preferable CGPA would be above 8, but if you are in the 7 to 8 range, that's also good. But if you are below 7, like 6 to 7, that's a bit sketchy and might cause some problems. And while you're doing these research projects, your master thesis, you would automatically develop a particular research related, a mindset. You would be able to read papers, understand them quickly, understand the research gap in a proposed project. So these skills are very important, guys. And finally, how to communicate with the professors, how to write emails, all these experiences you need, these skills you need to land a PhD position. To all my Indian viewers, a happy Raksha Bandhan to you guys. Celebrate the festival and share the video, help out each other. If you found this video informative, subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit the bell icon so that you get instant notification whenever I post my next video. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah.